Good morning, everyone. You are all very welcome to this morning's webinar in partnership with Google Digital Garage and Dún Laoghaire Rathdown Chamber. With many elements of the economy reopening over the coming weeks, County Wexford Chamber and Dún Laoghaire Rathdown Chamber are hoping to upskill as many people as possible to combat the effects of the pandemic. County Wexford Chamber and Dún Laoghaire Rathdown Chamber are working with Google Digital Garage to deliver this 5-part webinar series. These 5 expert-led webinars will cover a range of topics that are vital to a business online. We will cover topics including optimize your ad campaigns with advanced strategies, smart creatives, reach the right customer with the right message, digital marketing strategy, expert workshop, scale your brand and advertise across borders, and social media strategy. These webinars will help our members to best position their business online as the economy continues to reopen. I hope you can take something from this morning's workshop and join us for the future webinars in the coming weeks. Without further ado, I will now pass you over to this morning's trainer, and I hope you all enjoy this morning's session. Thank you.
Well, good morning. How are you doing there? Welcome to this Google Digital Garage training session on social media strategy. Can you believe this is the 5th one in our series in collaboration with Wexford Chamber and Dún Laoghaire Rathdown Chamber? So for those of you I haven't met before, my name is Christine and I am one of the trainers here on Google's Digital Garage program. I've been part of the Google Digital Garage program since 2015. I'm a marketeer by trade and I was working on marketing before digital was even a thing. Alongside me today, I have our wonderful moderator, Amy. Now, Amy is also one of our Google Digital Garage coaches, and she's going to be interacting with you and answering some of your questions live as we go through. She's in the instant chat right now. You can tell you're speaking to the moderator. Well, first up, she's called Amy. Secondly, she'll have a little blue spanner next to her name that shows that she's the one. Well, really, she's the one in charge of pretty much everything going on today. Little bit of housekeeping just before we do start. Any trouble viewing the webinar? Best thing to do, just try refreshing your page. Tends to sort out so many of the issues people have. If you want to join in that instant chat today, you're going to need to be signed in to your YouTube account. So you can easily set one up if you don't have one already, or sign in if you do by clicking up onto the box up on the right there. And then you'll be able to join in that instant chat. Why not give that a practice right now? Say hi to Amy, introduce yourself to the rest of the gang, and let us know, who you are and where you're from. So maybe the business that you're representing here today. So I'm going to pause. So Amy will answer questions from the chat as we go through, but I'm also going to pause a couple of times throughout the session this morning and take some of those really interesting questions that Amy thinks would be great for the whole group to hear. So do get those questions in as we go through, and we'll get that opportunity to answer them together. So you do know we're running this Google Digital Garage virtual training as part of our broader offering of courses. So if you want to check out our schedule of upcoming webinar training, see the information on that in the description below, link you through to our website, and you'll be able to get some more training. If you haven't had your fill yet through these last 5 webinars, there's lots more coming at you over the next weeks and months. Feel free to share your experiences on social media. Tell your friends, your family, your colleagues about the webinars. If you would, we'd love it if you'd use the hashtag Digital Garage, because that means we can all share and see what you've got to say. Any feedback from today's session, please complete the feedback form, which is also linked in the description box. Once you complete that feedback form, a link will appear and you can download a PDF of today's content. This webinar will also stay live on the, I think we're on the Wexford Chamber channel, so viewers can rewatch that as and when they need to. Okay, so shall we take a look at what we're going to think about today? So today's all about social media. Maybe you've given it a try already. Maybe you use it in your personal life. Maybe you know you should be using it for your business, but you're not quite sure what to be doing yet. Well, we'll talk through today some of those benefits that lots of businesses are seeing through using social media. We'll understand how it might help your business. It might be reaching new customers. It might be looking after the customers you already have. Lots of different benefits available for businesses of all different kinds of styles and sizes as well. It's not one size fits all though. So I'm going to talk through lots of options today. What I'd like you to do as a result of today's session is pull together the things that you are going to give a go. The things you're going to try, the things if you're already doing it that you're going to work on and improve, and pull those together into your personalized social media strategy. As I say, we talk about so many things in a webinar like today's because we're trying to get lots of ideas to lots of different people. Don't think you have to do everything. We're going to pick and choose, or you're going to pick and choose 1, 2, 3 things that you can do to get your business, get your social media strategy moving forward. To do that, we're going to have to think up interesting things to say. I always say, probably say it far too often, but the hardest thing about being on social media is thinking up what to say. So we're going to give you some tips that are going to help you to create content. These will work across different kinds of channels. It might be your written posts. It might be the images and the videos you're going to use. But we'll have a real think about how, one thing I love to do with content is how you're always thinking about creating content. So spotting a moment, taking a photograph, thinking, oh, bank that, I can talk about that later. Thinking up interesting things to say on social media is a almost full-time job alongside the other full-time job that you're surely already doing. So here's a question for you. I love to start with a question. A couple of reasons for doing this. One, it helps me to understand and Amy to understand where you're coming from and how we can best help you today. But secondly, it's really important before you dive into the doing to have a little bit of reflection. So why is it that you are here today? Why do you want to develop your social media presence? Pop those answers in the chat. Let Amy know and she'll pass some of them over to me. But I want you to think, if you could only achieve one thing, what would it be? If you could change something, if you could have a magic wand and wave it, what would be the one thing that you'd want to achieve? So do let Amy know in the chat. She's going to respond to those as we go through. She's also going to let me, if there's anything that's going to be useful that I can help draw out, she'll let me know those things too. So the answers in terms of your social media presence, I'm always going to talk about it from a business point of view, but don't forget that it might be that you want to develop your social media presence for a professional, your personal reasons as well as those professional reasons rather. So there's lots of reasons that people do get involved in social media. We're going to keep as much as we can focusing on the business point of view, but remember, as a person, businesses are just made up of people and people buy from people. So it might be worth developing your professional social media as well as your business social media. So we've got, here we are. Hi to Lorraine from Gory Physical Therapy. And Lorraine wants to get more engagement in their social media, which will hopefully lead to more referrals and more clients. Absolutely. If you can get out there and reach the people, they can know about you. And when they're ready they meet somebody who needs a physical therapist, they can say, oh, I met the most wonderful person on social media. Let me let you know their details. They'll be able to help you. Fantastic. What a great use. And it's a really good reason to be on social media. I like it when people have a clear reason, because everything we do can then help you to help you to achieve that goal. So let's start with looking at some of the how social media might be able to help your business. Okay. And the reason it's so important is that nowadays, more so than ever, your customers live on social media. There are just over 3 million people active on social media in Ireland, which is 3/5 of the entire population. Okay. The average user spends 64 minutes, so over an hour every single day on social media across their different devices. Right? Which when you think, okay, that sounds a lot. Well, the average person in Ireland spends 4.5 hours on their smartphone every single day, with the rest of the time, so they're doing social media for an hour of it, the rest of the time's browsing the internet, listening to music, watching video content, entertainment and things as they go. So we are absolutely tied to these little things. And if it's what your customers are doing, then as a business, it's a great idea to really work out how we can use that knowledge, use that change in behavior to help us with our business. A few extra facts. Facebook is the most used platform in Ireland. There are 3.3 million users of Facebook. But Instagram has a penetration rate of 43% of the market. And LinkedIn is coming in third with 35%. So these are huge numbers of potential connections out there, people who are potentially looking for a business or a service just like yours. Other interesting fact, of course, is that, well, perhaps unsurprisingly, since our movements and things have been restricted, our lives have been contained by the COVID-19 situation. 43% of internet users say that they spend longer on social media since COVID-19. So we're thinking marketing is, for me, all about human beings, and it's all about behaviors and understanding behaviors, and then working out how we can best meet the needs of the people in their behaviors. Social media personally is great for connecting, great for, finding new customers and things. Finding new products. For a business, it's important to get your products and your services out there so people can see what it is you have to offer. So social media can help you at different times in your business. So you might be thinking, right, I need to go out and find new people. So I need to reach out and meet new people. Okay. You can reach new customers. And we always say globally, but actually what's really important is you can, using social media, reach new customers, potential new customers, your new audience, locally as well as globally, because it's where people are going to get their information. You can then, once you've reached them and you've found where they are, you've started to get to know them a little bit, you can really engage them, which is the getting to know you portion of things. Social media is social by nature, so be sociable on social media. Imagine it like a conversation. How can you listen as well as talk? Nobody likes a social media profile that just shouts about what it's got to sell all the time. The social media strategies that work are ones that give a little as well as getting a little. Okay. Promoting your current fans and followers, finding ways that they can help you reach and engage other people by things that they're going to want to like, things that they're going to want to share, things that they would be proud to almost promote on your behalf. Next stage, so we've reached out, we've found the people, we've engaged them, we've started to get them to have a conversation or to get to know a bit more about us. Really important that we look at ways, and social media can help us to activate customers. What actions do you want them to take? Do you want to sign up for something? Do you want them to buy something? You can even sell, if you sell products, you can sell directly from within the social media apps. Or you can bring people to you. Maybe it's just like Lorraine says, is that, people need to know about her before you can then activate them to, maybe it's pick up the phone and book an appointment. That's a surefire an activation. What is it, the action you want them to take? Okay. And then once they have activated, how are you going to look after them? Those really great loyal customers, how are you going to make them love you? How are you going to make them want to come back? How are you going to make them want to leave a review? Could you create a sense of community in your social channels? Can you turn customers into followers and brand advocates? Get them recommending you that's the kind of gold dust when it comes to a business, that you don't even have to do the marketing because other people are helping by doing it for you. They probably won't take it over completely, but if you can get that kind of increase, all the better. So in terms of reach, when you look at reaching out, social media posts play really well in search because they're updated. So without going into the boring stuff, they're updated really often. They're a trusted source. So by reaching out and using social media, you can get yourself more easily found in search. You can then bring more people to your website. Promote your web address on your social channels. Have it as a target to bring more people and check it out in your analytics to see if people are reaching out and coming to you. You can learn lots about people. So when you're reaching out and finding out stuff about them, what are you learning? What are they? What can you then use to inform finding more people like them? And you can also check out the latest market trends. You can see what's going on in other worlds as well. In terms of engaging and adding value to that brand, you might want to use social media to improve that customer service, get people the answers they need really quickly. You might want to use chatbots, direct messages, other kinds of instant messaging tools to have two-way, more private conversations. They can reach you easily. They can ask their questions. They can get them answered. Chatbots will do some of the answering of the simple questions for you. So they get a quick response, and you get to spend more time on the more involved aspects of your business. You might want to use social media to show a bit of a different side to your business. Who are you? Who are the people behind the brand? People, especially when we're thinking about, people are really looking to local at the moment. How can you tell your story? How many generations, or the person who's there, who's the real crafts person who makes the products or puts their time and love and care into the packing and the ordering? People love hearing about the people. Okay. In terms of sales, those activations, and activations aren't just about sales, but ultimately you're probably going to want to sell something at some point. You can reach these new audiences on social media. 60% of Ireland's adults and 90% of 19 to 24-year-olds are on particular different social media platforms. It's a great place to connect with customers. You can actually connect in different ways. What I love about social media is the ability to listen. So in terms of new business opportunities, you might spot a gap when people are in live real time telling you what they want. You can listen into the conversations, join in the conversations, think, okay, where's that gap? What new business opportunity might I be able to use to meet that gap? You can target lots of different types of, down to which platform you choose starts to help you choose the demographics of the people that you're trying to reach. So you're not trying to mass market to everybody, focusing in on those right people for you and for your business. And be thinking about it as building, you're not making a sale, you're building a relationship. It's a really good way to approach the work that you're doing. And at the end of that sales funnel, that nurture stage, when we want to look after, take customers and make them into loyal fans, we're thinking about community. We're thinking about how can you remind people to buy from you. We were just having the conversation, we're coming into Halloween and in a minute, and then in 5 minutes after that, we've got Christmas coming in. And, how can you use what's going on in the world to think up interesting things to say that are going to remind people, oh, it's Halloween coming up, I must buy a new pair of shoes. That's Christmas coming up, I must have a new frock. You can see what goes on in my life, but how would that fit in with yours? You can diversify your outreach. So you're not just relying on being able to reach the same people you've always been able to reach. You can make people feel really loved and cared for. Okay. Few things, though, to think about. First up, social attention spans. People have always got bored quickly, but attention spans in the social media digital age have have really shortened. There's always this thing that, you've got a 7 or 8 second attention span. On social media, that absolutely decreases. Some estimate it to be about 3 seconds. I think a good rule of thumb is that you've got from the time it takes from the thumb to scroll from the top to the bottom, the screen to move up, to grab somebody's attention and get them engaged in what you're saying. So your content has to have that impact to get to stop that thumb from scrolling, or the scrum from scrolling, as I was trying to say. There's tons of competition out there. Lots of brands online, lots of people competing for that same customer base. Doesn't mean you shouldn't try it, but it's not a magic. You can't just wave a magic wand and it's going to fix everything. You still have to have good reasons for doing it, good strategy, and you're going to have to put resources and plans behind it. It's a misconception that social is cheap, social is free. There is often a charge, an actual charge, but there's always going to be the cost of your resources, your time, your effort, time spent doing social media when you could be doing something else for your business. So think about it in terms, there will be a cost of some sort, even if the posts themselves don't have a charge to them. In order to get the right results, you are going to have to invest time, resources, and potentially budget as well. And really importantly, it feels like the public health warning at the end, but once it's public, it's public. So be really careful in what you post, how you post, when you post. Pay attention to, we want to basically prevent any kinds of blunders. Public health warning, don't drink and tweet, I always like to make a post, then leave it, then reread it. Check it is what I wanted to say. Check it spelt right, looks right. Just make sure that you are saying what you want to say and what you think you're going to say. Okay, so I can see from Amy that there's no burning questions coming in from you just this minute. That's okay. We've got, to be honest, I don't think I've said anything controversial just yet. But do get those questions in as we go through, because we're going to go into some a little bit more, maybe a little bit more technical. We'll keep it nice and friendly, don't you worry. But we're going to have a little bit of a look at how you go about building that social media strategy. As I say, this is about selecting the right things for you. Just because I'm going to give you a ton of ideas, please don't think I'm expecting or would even recommend that you went and tried to do all of them. Okay, so social media strategy wise, we've got 5 steps for you. And the 5 steps, when you work through them, I would genuinely, even though I'm digital at my core, I'm an old-fashioned girl and I like a big piece of paper and maybe some pens and post-it notes, and being able to do this on, quite tactile for me to be able to move this action plan around. Step 1, we're going to look at your audience. Okay, we're going to help you to define them. Step 2, we're going to take a look at the goals, what you want to achieve, which is why I've already started asking you what it is that you want to achieve. Then, depending on who the people are and what we want to achieve, we're then going to pick our platform, potentially platforms. But it might be that we start with one, we test it, we try it, we see what works, we do more of that. Okay. Then, once we know who we're talking to, why we're talking to them, and where we're talking to them, we're going to take a look at how we go about talking to them. What's our tone of voice going to be like? How are we going to actually craft those messages so that in step 5, we can measure them and see what success looks like? Okay. Now, we will be thinking, especially when we're thinking about goals, I want you to start thinking about what you want to achieve, but the success, is going to be your measurements, your metrics. I want to pull those all the way through so we can be testing, trying, measuring. I want you to have an almost experimental mindset. This isn't a straight line 1 to 5. This is all about a learning, iterative process. Okay. So step 1. Before you start to plan out any posts, I want you to think about the people you are trying to reach. Okay. So, who are the people? These are people. Every thumb that's scrolling is owned by a person. So rather than trying to do mass marketing and trying to just reach anybody and everybody, really focus in on the people you're trying to. we're thinking about demographic information. How old are they? Are they male or female, if that makes a difference? Are they parents? Are they business people? Are they, who are they? So start jotting down some ideas. Wherever possible, this process always kind of starts with a mixture of things you think and then some knowledge you might have from the customers you've met in the past. As we go on, I want you to start thinking about sources of data for this. I think it's probably predominantly males aged 17 to 43. How am I going to back that up with some data? Okay, so be looking for those data sources. Really important to think what they're into. What are they interested in? Who are they as people? Okay, it's going to take time to do this. Reflect, think of some answers up, and then jot them all down. This is why I like paper and post-it notes. As I learn things, I can move them around, add to them, take them away again. Think about who or what influences them. Where do they go for their information? Where do they go to be entertained? What kind of things do they enjoy doing? What kind of content are they likely to find easiest to consume? Are people wanting video tips? Are people wanting detailed instruction guides? Different people are going to relate to information in different ways. And really importantly, because it's going to help you, if you can start to understand the social media platforms that they actually hang out on, that's really going to help. And the same person might have different social media presences for different reasons. I've got a Facebook for keeping in touch with, almost births, marriages and deaths, isn't it? Pictures of babies, pictures of weddings, learning what's going on in the lives of people who aren't maybe as close to me as they once were, but I want to keep in touch with them. I might have Instagram for looking up, finding new things, new places to go. And then I might have something like a LinkedIn for my professional life. I'm present on each of those, but I wouldn't want to see the same content on each of those. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. In terms of then defining your audience, talking to people, really key. You can, if you're lucky enough to have customers that you can meet and chat to, ask them. Your staff might engage with people. You might serve them every day on your premises. You might go to their houses when you're delivering your service. Talk to them, ask them a couple of easy questions. How did you find out about us? What made you come along to us? Because if you start to understand more about the people, you can start to think of ways that you're going to find more people like them. Because if one person likes you, then if you can identify some of the factors that are going to help other people like you too. Within the kind of groups of people who might like you, there may well be, you might start to see similarities. Yes, it's individuals in your audience, but they might start to almost clump or group together. So you might see that for your offering, it isn't males from 17 to 43 who like your product. There's two distinct groups within that. And maybe the males from 17 to 26 like one particular aspect. And then the males from, 27 to 42 behave in a different way. They want different things or they engage in a different way. These are your segments. And if you can start like an orange, segmenting your presence into, segmenting your audience into little groups and then treating them maybe slightly differently. One way you might have is a very simple, very short online survey. Ask a couple of questions. Lots of the social media platforms allow you to ask simple questions. Which one do you like better? Which brand do you like better? This one, this one, this one, this one. Get a little bit of actual data going on and try to build in a kind of research data-driven mindset into everything you do. You're going to have to start from somewhere, which might be what you know, but use the data, back those assumptions up. And when you're thinking about some key questions to help you understand your audience, there's some of these on the screen, The question might be, what kind of updates do I post? Well, you might need to try a few different kinds and look at the data and see what works best. Same with best time to engage with my audience. I had a lovely, lovely chat with, and it was a lady and she was running a business and she saw a marked increase in people she was coming in every Friday morning to a ton of orders. And when she looked at it, there were lots of people sitting down and placing orders around 8 or 9 o'clock at night on a Thursday. And what she reckoned, and then she spoke to a couple of them, and they were people who were sitting down with a glass of wine on a Thursday night and treating themselves to something. The products she was saying were particularly used. Mums seemed to like them. They would use them as a little treat for themselves before the weekend. And she could see from the data that this is what was going on. And then she was able to do more investigation and find out about it. So she was going to post at around 8 o'clock on a Thursday night. And it was going to be quite a light-hearted post around the messages of treat yourself, well done, you've almost made it to the end of the week, sort of thing. You can see from the data if social media drives people to your website. You can see when people get to your website, look at your Google Analytics, and you'll be able to see what they do when they get there. You can also look at the data within your social media channels to see which of the posts are working well. If you have influential followers, how are you going to connect with the real people? Okay. So lots of different analytics I've started to mention as we go through. Most social media platforms offer analytics already built in. If you have a business page, check out it'll probably be called something like Insights or Analytics, Business Insights, something like that, that's going to help you to find more information about, who people are. You can find out people who visit your website. If you've got a website, are you looking at the analytics there to see what's going on? It's going to help you understand more about your customers. The more you can understand, the more you can tailor what you do. Okay. So next we're going to think about those goals. And I've already had you mention a couple of them. Do let me know. So Gory Physical Therapy was to get more engagement in social media, hopefully lead to more referrals and clients. So actually what you're trying to achieve is more referrals, more clients, right? And then we've got Counties Energy Agency, who are looking at 2 types of messages through social media to two different audiences here. You've got domestic work and the other's EU-funded work. And you want to improve the message around the EU side. I'm guessing in the long run, you want to improve the messaging so people understand what you're doing so that they can then book you further down the line. So your awareness raising there, Colin, with the kind of EU side, I guess. So the kinds of goals people choose, things like better customer services, driving up better reviews, making sure people have all the information they need to so they can make the purchase later. Your goal might be to grow brand awareness with counties. That might be what you're trying to do there. Generate more sales, always going to be at the back of our minds. How is all this going to help us drive the business forward? How you might want as a goal to get more people on your site or connect with influencers. Are there, Colin, within the energy space, are there particular people who might be influencing to other people? People who would potentially be asked questions and could recommend. Are there people local to you? Influencers don't have to be global influencers. They might be really local people. Where I live, there's lots of groups for local recommendations, and they can be almost fairly specific to a handful of streets or a small area of town. It doesn't have to be the big things. Okay. So what we want to think about is a goal of just selling more things is unlikely to be very easy to measure, and it's unlikely that you're going to be able to really focus. So we're going to think about SMART framework. Goals enable you to ensure you're working towards something, but with the SMART framework, you can really make sure you've got purpose and direction to your goals, which is going to help you to come back and make sure you're fitting them. So SMART goals are specific. What you want to achieve, what resources are you going to achieve, how are you going to measure it? Which is your second, that it has to be measurable. What metrics are you going to use and how are you going to know when you've reached that goal? Thirdly, they ought to be achievable. Do you have the resources to realistically? If I were to set myself a goal of climbing Mount Everest, it's probably not going to be achievable to me. My knees would never handle all that climbing. So be realistic in make sure that what you're looking for is achievable and realistic. Is it within the realms of reality? Is it feasible? Is it possible? Can you achieve? Really important that you give yourselves things that you can achieve. And finally, make sure that you put the timing on it. Okay. What date will you complete by? When are you going to measure? When are you going to, when are you going to know how well you're doing? Because a goal without a deadline is just a dream. Okay. So really think about those goals. When you know who you're trying to reach and what you want to achieve, that's when you start to think about choosing those channels. And as I've said, different channels have different purposes, really. So for me, when I've got my looking at, family events and what's going on in people's lives and checking out cat videos, that's a kind of lifestyle focus. When I'm looking for suppliers, when I'm using a platform that's going to help me get on in work or with my business, then that's much more of a business focus. So for the same person, the same potential customer, they're going to look for different things in different places. So you have to make sure that you're putting your content into the right place. I 100% endorse that middle point here. Start with one. Please don't say, we're going to go through tons of different platforms. Don't think you have to have a presence on all of them. Okay. Because each channel works in a different way. Very annoying. That's just the way it is. Work in different ways, and they're going to need investment, time investment, resource investment, skills investment, and potentially money investment. Okay. So make sure you're not trying to do too much. You're not spreading yourself too thin. Do one, do it really, really well, rather than trying to do 4 and doing them all badly. Okay. Because as we've said, different channels need different strategies. And when you're thinking about which channel to choose, think about the kind of content it says you want to create, that you're capable of creating, really. Because different channels, different content plays really well. You're going to do microblogging, where you just do short, snippy pieces of factuals. You're going to have videos. You're going to make, lovely pictures. What kind of content? If I had beautiful, rich visuals of a consumer product in use, I might think, okay, something like an Instagram might be a place for me. If I had lots of factual stuff or lots of businessy stuff, a Twitter or a LinkedIn would be a better kind of platform potentially. Okay. There's no right channel, but there are probably quite a few wrong ones. All right. There's no right one for everybody, though. You need to pick your platforms. You might decide for a wide range of customers that actually a local platform might be better. Think about the platforms that's used by your target, and do think about, a lot of platforms, to get any kind of traction, you are required really to pay to promote. So do check out the costs and see what you could achieve with any kind of budget. We're now going to think about, we know who we're speaking to, where we're speaking to them, and what we want to achieve. How are we actually going to speak to them? That's called our brand's voice. Really key, I think, to set yourself some guidelines on how you're going to behave on social media. We're people talking to people. How are we actually going to connect? Okay. What are the kinds of images we're going to use? Where are we going to use our logo? What colours are we going to use? What font, if it's appropriate? Have we got how are we going to showcase our personality? I wouldn't expect a funeral parlour to be posting Friday funnies. The brand needs to be presented in a certain way. Okay. If you're trying to connect with a younger audience, then maybe, you want to behave authentically and honestly in a way that's going to be right with them. Images and content takes a lot of preparation. So the more you can put yourself some rules around it, the easier it actually is going to be for you. Do we do this or do that? Well, we know our rules say we do this. Okay. It can take a little bit of a while to craft. I like that word, to craft it. And sometimes if you've got employees, people will intuitively know. Maybe right now it's just you who's doing the posting. But 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line, a year down the line, is it going to be the same people? You want there to be a consistency to what you say. So think about your values. What do you stand for? As I say, that idea of the funeral parlour coming across as cheeky and funny just wouldn't work, even if they were lovely, lovely people, as I'm sure they are. Got to behave in an appropriate way for your audience. What does your audience need, both in tone from you, but also in informational content from you? Okay. Then think about the personality. How do you want to come across? Are you going to be funny? Are you going to be serious? Are you going to be jokey? Are you going to be very factual and informative? And then choose some of the language you're going to use. How are you going to say hello? How are you going to describe yourself? Use the appropriate language that your audience is going to understand. Don't try and show how fancy and clever you are if your audience aren't going to understand the language. But don't dumb things down. You know, if you're speaking to a technical audience, make sure you honestly, authentically, genuinely use the language that they are going to need. And a great exercise to do, you can take this as homework, is think about your business, your brand, how you want to present yourself. If you could choose 3 words that are going to describe your brand, what would they be? It might be fun, friendly, and informative. If I was that funeral parlour, I'd want to be, compassionate, professional, or, I might even stick at compassionate and professional, but try and think of 3 that would describe how you're going to come across. Sincere might be a great one there. They want to make people feel safe and cared for at some of the hardest times of their life. And how are you going to embody that in every single thing that you do? Pop them in the chat box if you like. Let Amy know what you're thinking. Some sorts of examples, these are kind of opposite to each other, I guess. Are you going to be friendly or provocative? Are you going to be fun? Are you going to be serious? Is it something more formal or casual? Think about if a brand of solicitors, I wouldn't want a casual solicitors necessarily. I'd want them to be quite, I want my lawyers to be firm and professional and formal. Okay. So think about what's going to be appropriate for you, for your business. And it should come from within. The culture of your business should shine through in your branding, because it's very difficult to be somebody you're not for very long. Then let's think about step 5, your measurements. Now, we've already been thinking about that way back from the goals. Okay, but really important to track how you're going against those goals. Track your, and it says, I love that, defining success. We want to track our progress. Okay, lots of analytics tools can help you. Something like Google Analytics, if you've got a website, be measuring every click with your Google Analytics. Might be social media reporting, the tools in there. Really think about what good looks like to you. Try and avoid the simple metrics like, I just want more likes, because what you measure changes the behavior. If I just wanted to get likes, I might just post lots of pictures of my coffees and lunch and pictures of cat videos or what have you. If I'm selling industrial widgets, that's not going to be any help to me whatsoever. So think about engagement. Think about the key actions that really matter to you, rather than just, oh, well, I've got 100 likes. It might make me feel popular, but you can't pay the bills with likes. Okay, so what are those metrics that are going to help you drive your business forward? Things like shares might be good. Shares within the right environment. Likes from the right people, not just from your mum. Shares into the right audience. If you can get those influencers sharing what you're saying, if you can post some content and you can see what really seems to resonate with your audience, well, then you can use that to decide what they like and do more things like that. Getting comments, getting questions, and how far out you can reach. Okay. And they can absolutely help you when you bring it all together. So remember, we have our audience. Who are the people we're trying to reach? What smart-wise are we absolutely trying to achieve? Choose one platform, choose one channel, give it a go, see what happens. Decide on your tone of voice, how you're going to come across, and then really think back to those goals. How are you going to know how well you're progressing towards those goals? Okie dokie. Hope that all made sense to you. Do let Amy know if not. She's there to help. Right, let's have a look. Ooh, let's have a... So, Great question from Colin about quality or quantity in posting. Should you try to keep engagement going or keep your messaging streamlined? It's a real balancing act. You have to post often enough that you start to get some traction, but your messaging has to be consistent. It has to be informative, and good quality content is difficult to produce. We'll look at some ways when you can think about how to plan in advance. Is actually the key to all of this. Secret tool, it's not that secret, is to do lots of planning in advance. So you're not left thinking, oh, it's Friday and I haven't posted this week. Quick, think up something funny to say. Okay. So thinking about those, higher level themes shaping your content is really important. But keep coming back every single post. Why am I posting this? Is this going to help me to achieve those goals? And making sure that they all do, I guess. So with that in mind, let's think about content. The hardest thing is thinking up things to say. Okay. So let's break it down. Rather than just all kinds of content, there are different types of content. And you might decide to use a mix. I'd thoroughly recommend you use a mix of different types of content. This will help with that quality and quantity. Sometimes just keeping the message going, feeding the system. Some of it, what are people going to want to hear? So you might have some announcements to make. People love a glimpse of what's going on. With an announcement, you might want to look at shaping up to the announcement rather than just making the announcement cold. Something important, something exciting coming, 5 days to go. We'll be live at 12 o'clock tomorrow with huge news from our little company or something. Think about how you can make a content theme out of maybe a single event or maybe one announcement. Build up to it, drop it in as you go, make something of it. You might want to go behind the scenes. People love seeing what's going on. Who are the people making the content? How is it made? The detail and love that goes into a local business's business. Who are the people? What are they doing? How do they get there? So go behind the scenes. Give them those exclusives. Make them feel really part of your story. There might be some great how-tos on your product or your brand. You might get that behind the scenes person who's worked there for years and handcrafts the little widgets that go into the machine. Why not get that person to show, how to use the product? Some of the most engaging content, talking to a really lovely farm shop and restaurant a little while ago, and their chef, their chef sharing the recipes, that they used their local, organically grown ingredients and showed how it didn't stop people coming to the restaurant. In fact, it actually drove up visits to the restaurant because people had got to know this lovely, charismatic chef, had loved trying the recipes, but wanted to see how the maestro did it. So engaging content, how to use the product, what to do with it, can absolutely help. You're not giving away all your trade secrets, so they're not. Just because I watch a video on how to fit a washer on a tap doesn't mean I'm not going to ever need the plumber to come and fix it when I break it. Then there's the responses. So stuff that comes in, somebody asks me a question, I respond with a helpful answer. And that's why I would always almost have somebody on call. If that kind of content comes in, then I can have somebody responding to that. Who's on call with that today? Might be things, operational stuff, job openings, business needs. And then there might be recurring content, really useful, fitting in with the seasons. We've got October, so we've got Halloween coming up. Then what are we going to do for bonfire? Then what are we going to do for, autumn? You might have a colour palette that runs through your postings for autumn, coming into Christmas at some point ever so soon on the horizon. And what are you going to do when it goes in January? What are you going to do? I love it when the day that it starts absolutely chucking it down or there's a gale, somebody will send me an email saying, oh, it's cold outside, snuggle up with our sale, and they'll give me a code that says pouring it down. That content has been planned for ages. They didn't think it up on that day. They've had it planned, and the minute the circumstances were right, that's gone out and it's looked really fresh and looked really responsive. Different kinds of content. So you've got written posts, blogs, articles, web copy. You can give more detailed information needs for your customers there. Images, which are going to help us to visualize concepts, visualize those products, really engaging for people. People, they stop that thumb from scrolling, and the picture tells the story with 1,000 words. Make you able to get a lot of information in a short amount of time, which is even more so for video. Really good for driving responses, really good for driving engagement, and can give a really vivid picture. Living life in 3D sort of thing. Audio is actually another popular form of content too. So podcasts, discussions, if you can find the right audience, then they become podcasts have an incredibly loyal following. And if you can find the right audience, the right messaging, the right topic, and the right presenters, you can really drive some decent engagement there. When we're thinking about written content, 3 key considerations for you is to sell the benefits rather than the features. The features are what we design in. The benefits is how it fits into the life of the customer. Okay. Using that clear and simple language, use the language that's appropriate for your audience. Don't dumb it down. If it's the technical language to a technical audience, use the right words for them. And it's the first time we've mentioned it in this one, but in every kind of marketing, what do you want them to do from seeing it? What is your call to action? Buy now, sign up here, visit our website. What do you want to do when they've seen it? Try it for yourself. Okay. Oh, here we are. We've gone into it a bit more detail. Benefits versus features. So benefits, as I say, are what's in it for the customer. So here, the feature, which is what we designed into it, is that we have 5mm thick glass. Okay, that's its feature. But the benefit to the customer, how it fits into the customer's life, is that it's smash resistant. We made this watch waterproof up to 5 meters. Big deal. I don't even know how deep 5 meters is, but you can take it swimming. Great. With all that outdoor swimming going on at the minute, people might love that. Okay. Benefits drives action. Benefits can make people see how it would fit in their lives. Okay. It's what entices people to buy those goods. When it comes to the language, mentioned it several times, but use clear, simple, concise language. Don't use internal jargon. If it's got too many acronyms in it, especially something like Twitter, where you have a shortened character count, just still make sure that the language is legible, that it actually makes any sense. Make your messages logical. Cut stuff out, but leave the important stuff in. Okay, short, uncomplicated sentences that scan well, and everyday terms rather than unnecessary jargon. Comes to call to action. Here we are. Get in touch with us. Buy now. Check out our website for more information. They turn views into actions, into engagement. When it comes from lovely imagery, think about the kinds of images you want to post. Make them clear. The things that are important are lights, camera, and action. No, lights, getting the object in focus, editing it down, and framing it well. All right. When it comes to lighting and things, use what you've got to start with and then see what needs improving. So use your creativity before you use that investing in any kind of capital. Video, something that 2 years ago most people found scary, but we're so much better at it now. It's nothing new, but it's really now more than ever, video is there. People are expecting to be able to engage with people via video. Videos boost conversion rates. People will watch a 2-minute video rather taking 15 minutes to read the same information. You can condense and portray the information a lot in a format that's a lot easier for people to understand. You can build real trust and credibility. People get to know the people, which is through everything hopefully you're going to take away, this is about being sociable. This is about being human. And what better way than to actually show that human side of your business? Also, as well as being engaging, videos play really well for getting yourself found. Don't forget that YouTube is the second largest search engine behind Google. And social sharing, where people see a video and then share it out, is really good for getting that attention, for driving that brand awareness. In terms of great content for videos, plan what you're going to say. Why are you going to say it? Don't waffle on, says the woman who waffles on for the World Cup. But plan what you're going to say. Prepare. Do a really good research piece. Think about, the messaging, the objectives of each video. How are you going to structure it to tell your story? It doesn't have to be beginning, middle, end in chronological order. What so many videos are doing right now is actually starting with the moment of highest impact. They're giving away almost the punchline to draw people in. Because imagine I'm watching on a screen, I'm scrolling through my feed and I see something really impactful. And then it jumps back in time and tells the story chronologically, for example. Even the news outlets, when that's how they've switched. They'll give away the headline and then tell the story behind it. Because by the time they've got you hooked, they can go back and start the story once upon a time. And equipment's really, really important in terms of making sure you've got the best lights and camera, especially, that you can have. In terms of making your videos, all of your content look good, you capture the images and the video in the moment, but then think about, how you're going to use text. Can you add text? Captions are really good. Can you add headlines that are going to grab the attention, especially if people are watching it on the bus or something when they're on silent, they're just flicking through. How are you going to grab their attention? Animation's a really good thing to look at, because a moving image, a little GIF or something, catches the eye amongst a field of static imagery. It just blinks away there and grabs the attention. If you're not happy, if you've taken some footage or you've got some images, post-filming, you can make changes and colour grade it. You can think about filtering images. You can think about increasing their appeal. Don't use colours that clash. Don't over-filter. Everything in moderation. If you're going, if you've filmed a couple of different pieces of footage, how are you going to use your transitions to pull those together? You can start and finish with a lovely soft beginning. How are you going to come into the video? You're going to fade down to black at the end. Fade down to the brand logo before and after. Get that brand logo in front of people at different times. And absolutely making sure people can hear what you're saying is absolutely key. Mentioned it a couple of times, but practically wise, most social media platforms at some point you're going to need to pay for ads or promotions. Do research on the overall costs and make sure you cap what you can do around each campaign and only spend what you can afford. But it's really highly controllable, so you can. Think about hashtags. Hashtags can help you get your posts in front of the right people but use relevant hashtags and go easy on them. Don't use too many. You can tag other people in it to appear in their feeds, spark those conversations, credit people, thank people. That's great content too. And then join in the discussions. Be sociable on social media. I'm absolutely about to crash through the timing, but I know Amy's been keeping your questions going there. So really importantly, if you wouldn't mind, pop into the chat, tell me what your next steps are. Do 1, 2, or 3 things straight away that are going to help you drive that social media strategy forward. One of those things should be, to definitely check out the new Google for Small Business website. It's a one-stop shop to help you find the right tools and resources for your business. There's an online success guide, there's a digital toolkit, and there's still some tips there for dealing with COVID-19. So check out google.com/small business for lots of information there. You can also come back and see us anytime at the Google Digital Garage. Thank you for being with me today. Got to wrap up here as I'm once more out of time. Mentioned at the beginning of the session, though, lots of different ways in getting some more training from Google Digital Garage. So we've got more Google Digital Garage webinars in different subjects. So check out the schedule of webinars, g.co/digitalgarage-ie. We update that regularly, so just check back and see what there's there. If you want to carry on learning on your own time, then there's online training on the Google Digital Garage website too. And really importantly, if you've got any feedback from today's session, complete the feedback form. It's linked down in the description box. I'm sure Amy can pop that link in there. You'll get a link. Once you've completed the form, you'll get a link through to download today's content so you can go back and look at anything that you need to. We'll also keep this webinar live for you to re-watch. So I hope you found that useful today. It's been my absolute pleasure to take you through social media strategy. Thanks to Amy and for the team behind the scenes for looking after us today. I look forward to welcoming you again to another Google Digital Garage training session sometime soon. Have a lovely day.